Yo, what's up, Hivers? I'm recording this a little early because we got a crazy few days doing a little traveling. So yeah, let me just jump right into it. Talking to you from the past. It's early Wednesday morning. I just did my Y2K Wednesday post. And the last half hour, I've been playing some tunes from 2006. This is 90s Friday. Shout out to YY and all the other accounts who post. Shout out to YY for being the one account that posts every week. Much love and respect. But shout out to the Big Hig and Summertooth, throwing down. And I always forget the other account. But she's awesome. So 96, it's funny. 94, there's so much stuff. I had to split it up into a couple weeks. 95, there was so much. 96, I'm like, do I split it into 2 weeks or do I just go with the big post? I got like 10 songs. Really like 7 or 8, and then maybe a couple bonus jams. I'm not sure. I think we're doing 1 week for 1996. And again, after New Year's Day, I started with 1990. I'm going year by year through the 90s. I'm going to forget a lot of stuff. I'm kind of focusing on alternative rock. There's just too much. I put in Wu-Tang 1 week. There's definitely great hip-hop that came out in 96. I'm just going to focus on alternative and because it's kind of what I know. But honestly, a lot of bands, a lot of the main staples like Beastie Boys, Chili Peppers, Foo Fighters. A lot of bands did not release an album this year. Soundgarden did. And it's one of my favorites, probably because, I was pretty young at the time. And it's actually the first Soundgarden album I physically bought. Now, if I was older, I would have bought the earlier ones first. But it just so happens it was pretty new. So it was highlighted at the record store, and that's the one I bought. They did do an album, I think, in 2012 or 2013. But in terms of the original run, and we might as well start with it. Down on the Upside. Again, for most of these, I'm picking the album. But there are some one-hit wonders where I'm really picking the song. I'll let you know. Down on the Upside, Soundgarden. The label wanted them to keep touring for another year because Super Unknown 94 was just so huge. And they could have made a lot more money touring an extra year. And Chris Cornell and the band wanted to get into the studio. They thought they did everything they wanted to with that record. Could have easily toured, done an arena tour. Black Hole Sun, Fell on Black Days, Day I Tried to Live. I mean, it was just a monster record. Pop radio with Black Hole Sun. Literally, I remember being on the school bus, after school on the way home and hearing like Ace of Base, What's Going On by Four Non Blondes, and then Black Hole Sun. And then it would go into like, some other mainstream pop song. So it really crossed the barrier in a way that Nirvana was so huge. I don't really remember. I'm pretty sure pop radio probably played something from Nevermind because it was just so huge. Maybe Come As You Are. But Black Hole Sun was literally on pop radio. And not because they were trying to be. It was just that massive. It was so huge. So I'm going to pick the song Pretty Noose, the opening track. There's some great songs on this album. You had the single Blow Up the Outside World, Burden in My Hand, songs I love. And Ty Cobb's a fun, fast punk song. It's a pretty good album. A lot of the hardcore fans think it fell off. I like this album a lot. I would say I probably, there's some albums where like the best songs are not the singles. I actually think they did a good job picking singles on this album. And yeah, that's my first pick. All right, next up, we got to go Bush. Razor Blade Suitcase. Coming off 16 Stone. 5 singles, all over MTV, all over rock radio. They decide to go to Chicago. I always forget the dude's name. Steve Albini, who produced the last Nirvana album In Utero in 93. You're getting quality 90s talk today. I said I was going to shorten these up, but this is going to be a really in-depth one. They decided to go to Steve Albini, who does really raw production, really good. You know, he did, I think, the Best Pixies album, Surfer Rosa. You know, the song Where Is My Mind from the end of the movie Fight Club. He produced that song. But I think for Bush, it wasn't a great move. Because you're basically hearing the band live. And although Swallowed was their biggest song ever, even though they were huge off their first record, it's really the only big single on the album. You know, I think Mouth was a single. Like Your Mouth. Greedy Fly, I believe, was a single. But really Swallowed, even though it was their biggest single, it was, you know, besides that song, nothing else really hit to anywhere where the previous 5 singles hit. So even though Swallowed was number 1 on the rock charts, that's basically it. And I think the kind of band Bush is, that big production, you know, they should have gone with like a Butch Vig, who did Nevermind in 91 instead of the guy that did the follow-up. I just think it's that raw sound for them. I think it's cool. I think it's cool they took a chance. They were monster Nirvana fans, and that's why they did it. I just think I'd be interested to hear this album produced by somebody else. Just totally out of curiosity. But yeah, I'm gonna pick the song "Swallowed." It's a good song. I respect the band Bush. They're not my favorite band, but huge song. Bit of a flop. Not even a flop. You can't have a number 1 song and say it's a flop. But the album overall, sold less and just didn't do as well. And they ended up coming back and doing this experimental album with with electric sounds, and, kind of going for not really Prodigy, but that kind of the electric kind of vibe. They did a remix album. And I think that's where the song Mouth actually got more play, was the remix version. That had techno, not techno, but electric, computerized sounds and stuff. I think it was on a soundtrack in 97, 98. But for now, we're going with Swallowed from Razor Blade Suitcase for our second pick. Then I gotta go Weezer, the album that flopped. Now, this was an actual total flop commercially. After the success of the Blue album, alternative rock radio, MTV, huge album, the Blue album. This album totally bombed. The song The Good Life was the single. It was a 10-song album. They spent a lot of time in the studio. I think Rivers Cuomo, who's the lead singer, frontman, main songwriter, kind of was going through some manic stuff, and from what I hear, they recorded 3 albums and just something was off. So off this album, they toured for a little bit, and then he went to Harvard. The band took a 4-year excuse me. Sipping some coffee here. The band took a 4-year break. I actually like the opening track, the song Tired of Sex. I just like the beat. El Scorcho is a cool song. Pink Triangle, Across the Sea, Why Bother? It's only 10 songs, but I'm actually going to go with a non-single, the song I'm Tired of Sex, which I am not, personally. All right, now We got a couple one-hit wonders. I'm going to go the band Primitive Radio Gods. The song Standing Outside a Broken Phone Booth. Huge monster hit. I remember hearing it in my friend's older brother's car on the radio. I'm sure it was all over MTV, although I didn't have MTV at the time. Album came out in 96. Pretty sure the single blew up right away. You know, sometimes an album comes out. I think the Spin Doctors came out in 91 or 92, and Two Princes didn't blow up until like, you know, late 93 or something, you know. But this blew up right away. You know, one-hit wonders in terms of, you know, commercial success. But I just love the song. And so we're going with that for the next pick. And why not do two, quote, one-hit wonders in a row? I'm going the song Six Underground. Definitely was on alternative radio, alternative rock radio. Definitely could be considered a pop song. This is the band The Sneaker Pimps. The album was Becoming X. They broke up shortly after. They were in London, and they were kind of part of the trip-hop kind of alternative scene. I actually like the song. It's definitely mellow. Definitely kind of a pop alternative vibe. And I don't have much more to say about it. So I'll leave it there. Next up, I'm going with one of my favorite bands. And this song did get a little bit of play on the mainstream, but not nearly as much as the other picks. I'm going with the band Social Distortion. The song I Was Wrong from the album White Light, White Heat, White Trash. Just a great punk rock band. They were on a major label. And, you know, I had friends tell me this song was on MTV. It just wasn't huge, you know. But I'm definitely putting it in. I think it deserves to be there. Next up, the band. I'm trying to think if I should do this as like a bonus pick. I'm just gonna not do bonus picks this week. You're just getting it all in one list. Unless I can think of a song from another year. Okay, the band MXPX, which this album, this is a personal favorite. I've definitely picked songs from this album before. In the past, this is one of my favorite records ever. I think they should have been as big as like Blink-182 and Green Day. They're very similar vibe, kind of that skate punk kind of sound. Now they did have some MTV play with their single Chick Magnet, which is like a weird, slow song. It was kind of a joke song. It doesn't sound like any of their other stuff. So I'm going to put in the very short song Doing Time. In the 90s, it was actually in the background of the Dead Man on Campus movie trailer, which had the guy that played Zach Morris on Saved by the Bell and the guy that was the drummer in That Thing You Do. It was like an MTV, you know, cheesy college movie, whatever. I remember seeing another movie and actually just getting so amped up that I heard this band in the background because they were not commercially big or anything. But this album, if it wasn't on a small indie label, they did sign to a major label off this album, but it's a miracle they even got any MTV play. But I personally think there's other songs that they should have picked as singles. The song Doing Time is like 1 minute and 30 seconds long. And it's like one of the catchiest tunes on the record, which obviously radio doesn't want a song that's like 1 minute long. They want songs that are like 3 minutes long. So I think their management, it just wasn't handled properly. This should be one of the most iconic albums of the 90s. At least if you're a fan of like Green Day, Offspring, Blink-182, this should be an album that you're into. So again, not as big as some of the other songs, but I'm putting it on and I'm picking the song Doing Time. But if you like it, check out the record. It's pretty good. And then last up, the band Goldfinger. You know, this was their first album. Kind of came out of the same ska punk scene as like Real Big Fish, No Doubt. And not my favorite album overall, but they did get some commercial play on this album. I'm gonna pick the song Mabel. Met her Sunday. That actually, it's funny. My first serious girlfriend ever, her screen name was Mabel something because she liked the song. So yeah, this album definitely got some MTV play. Probably a bunch of radio play on the West Coast. The East Coast, not so much. And yeah, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 songs. And then I'll do kind of a bonus. I thought I had more. Okay, I had Matchbox 20 because the Yourself or Someone Like You came out in 96. But it didn't get radio played in 97, so I'm actually going to save that for 97, which will be next week. For bonus jam, I'm going to pick a song from Jimmy Eat World that came out in 1996. Obviously, they didn't get huge commercially. Some of their songs were played in the 90s on TV shows like Party of Five. I don't think they got much MTV play. They were on a major label, and then they got dropped. And then they end up getting a deal with Capitol Records. And then they had that song, The Middle, that blew up in 2001, 2002. So kind of funny. You know, you can have big albums on big labels and then all of a sudden get dropped, think it's over, and then boom, 5 years later, you got a hit. So I'm going to pick a song off that album. I'm not sure which one, but I'll put that below as a bonus. And then I'm going to pick the song Work for Food from Drama Rama, which is a song from 1993 we skipped over. That's going to be the other bonus jam. So that should be 10 tunes on this 90s Friday. Let me just double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wait, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I'm screwing something up here. I'll figure it out. And yeah, again, I'm pre-recording this because we're doing a little traveling late Wednesday and Thursday, and also over the weekend to return. So I'll bring you a market vlog sometime in between. But I'm just pre-recording, you know, the music posts. And yeah, that's about it. Use the tag 90s Friday. And you don't have to talk about music. You can talk about anything. You know, if your favorite team won the Super Bowl in 1997, you know, you can do a post about that. You can do a post about your favorite movie. YY and the Big Hig seem to, like, throw in a lot of, you know, small aspects of a bunch of topics. You know, your favorite episode of Seinfeld. You know, whatever you want. You know, Joe Rogan's TV show from the 90s, news radio. Whatever you want to talk about. I like to stick to the music. Once I'm done doing 1990 to the year 2000, I'm going to go back to doing 5-tune Fridays on 90s Friday. I love talking music. And Tuesday, 3-tune Tuesday is just not enough. So 90s Friday, anything from 1990 to the year 2000. You know, the 90s didn't really end until, you know, 2001 in my opinion. So the year 2000 counts. And yeah, hope you enjoy the tunes. Let me know what I forgot. I am traveling and I'm a little, you know, there's definitely some punk albums that came out in 96 that I'm a huge fan of. Probably could have done a post just on that, but I don't want to milk it. So I'm just going to do 1996. These are the songs I thought of sitting down for a couple hours. But let me know what I forgot. I'm sure there's plenty. And let me know why I forgot your favorite song if I did. But I love you guys, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace.